Ground ball. McLain, second. 12 in a row. The oldest team in professional baseball has its 5th ever winning streak of a dozen straight.
Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught. Left center. Reds win.
This ball is launched high and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Elly De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? It's going to be gone. Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? Cameron is back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds. Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it tied to 4.
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Karcher does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit to deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Roy Green pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Dave Bruce rounds third. This one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now. 1 out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back into another version of the Chatterbox Reds pregame show today for April 15th. We've got the Reds versus Mariners tonight on Jackie Robinson Day across the league. Both teams coming off sweeps, both teams coming off winning 5 of their last 6. But before we get into the matchup, Alex, what's going on, man?
Not much here, Sam. Just ready for another Reds victory. 4 in a row. I got my 12-game counter going. We're going for 4 tonight. 4 out of 12. We're going for another 12-game win streak.
That's bold there, but I love to hear it. What do you say we get into the weekend series against the Pirates a little bit? Like I said, we got the brooms out for this one, beating the Pirates 3 games. Starting pitching was great. Only 5 earned runs throughout the 3 games. Obviously, Hunter Greene has been dominant for the Reds. What did you like throughout the series, and kind of what did you see?
I mean, obviously the pitching is the story of the year so far.
Yeah.
Pitching and timely hitting, which is what we've been talking about. But Hunter Greene's fantastic. Anytime, and I knew Saturday, if they won Saturday, they were going to win on Sunday. He's just been honestly unbelievable. I heard this morning or saw on a note that some of the guys at MLB Network are saying that we should say, speak about him as the same way we do Skeens. Well, I mean, honestly, I think Hunter Greene's there. He he would be Skeens if he would have gone to college, no doubt.
Yeah, he's been dominant again. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts. He's got his ERA down to under 1 now. I think he's one of only a couple of pitchers in that whole MLB to do that. But the pitching, like we said, the bullpen's been great too. They only allowed 1 total run over the whole weekend, and it's getting we got Diaz coming up now, so it could be getting better if Diaz is kind of goes back to his old self, his better self.
Mm-hmm.
But with Pagan, Tito did say Pagan will be closing games, so Diaz is going to be more in a setup role. But yeah, only 1 run over the weekend is very promising. I know I had my concerns about the bullpen, but they've showed us they can handle it. What they're doing right now, I've loved what I've seen from Pagan, Ashcraft, Rogers as well. But yeah, also over the weekend, Elly had quite the weekend with the grand slam and also chaos on the bases.
And his bobblehead. Don't forget his bobblehead night.
Correct, on the grand slam night. But that grand slam he hit on Saturday, obviously, I think we only scored 5 runs, so 4 of the runs there coming from him. And then also on Friday, his chaos on the base path with Steer and him scoring, I believe 2 runs was the decision in that game. So it's great to see Elly going here.
Absolutely. And Friday night, when he was interviewed by the Apple TV broadcast, he said, I shouldn't be the one here. It should be Candy. He hit the home run.
Correct.
But Elly can affect the game in so many different ways that even when he's not hitting, he can, he can affect the game with his stolen bases. And that I've never seen a catcher, by the way, throw down to third and get hit by his mask. That was unbelievable. So Elly's Elly. I'd like to see him get a better at bats and cut down the strikeouts. So I think some of that is just because of his size personally. But we haven't seen the best of him yet. I think a couple more months to go, or a couple more weeks, excuse me. I think he'll be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I agree. And we also didn't mention, but Andrew Abbott is back. He went 5, giving up 1 run. Kind of exceeded my expectations, honestly. He didn't do great, but that's kind of what you expect for his first start back. If you go out there and only give up 1 earned run, that's more than enough for Abbott.
Yeah, totally. I think Abbott. I have no data to back this up, but I kind of call him the left-handed Mike Leake. Never going to be spectacular, but overly solid. We know he's had some home run troubles, but we heard this morning on Off the Bench, Nick Martinez, in a similar vein as Abbott, maybe go that 5+ innings, get him out, and let's just have the bullpen take over. And hopefully with Hunter Greene going, deep into games, Lodolo hopefully going deep into games, that'll help this group out.
Yeah. What do you say we get into the roster moves that were made earlier today? We have McLain, Hayes, and Diaz getting called up, and Hurtubise and Marte being sent down. What do you kind of make of that?
Yeah, obviously, I think this has been, the obvious move. The only other thing, and everyone knows this, that could have been is CES would have gone to the IL with some back spasms or what have you. But we know this is the roster they're putting together. Jamir is going to play third or first, and I think Noelvi is connected to him being healthy and CES being healthy, and that's really it. Obviously, he came up with McLain. That's just some depth, but with the outfield depth coming up, we could move Lux to second as well. So it was the obvious move. Let's get Marte, give him the taste of the major leagues, and let's get him back down to AAA and start mashing so he works his way back or forces his way back to the lineup.
Yeah, I think this is huge just for having Hayes and McLain back in the lineup. The past couple of weeks, it seems like Elly's really been the only player who comes up to bat and you feel confident in him doing something good.
Mm-hmm.
You've had random stretches from Friedel. Steers had a couple good swings here and there. I've been pleasantly surprised with Trevino, but never really anything consistent. And McLain was great to start the year, so it's great to have him back. But then also Austin Hayes, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do for this lineup. he's going to be DHing tonight, which surprised both of us a little bit. But the more you think about it, they're kind of easing him in to this role.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to wait on later, but we can bring it up now. Speaking, kind of tying into the lineup a little bit. It appears to me, based on some comments that was made to, and Charlie Goldsmith put it out there on X, is Hayes, McLain are going to have to be kind of, slowed in a little bit or add to the steer, mixing them out. So it looks to me like there might be some, musical chairs, call it, of Lux, Steer, Hayes, and McLain. The days that McLain's out, maybe you see Lux move to second, Hayes plays left field, Steer's the DH. Steer, we keep hearing, is getting closer and closer based on the throwing program. Of course, none of us know when that is going to be. What is interesting, though, is he must be on the up and up, because it would have been easier to send him down and have a healthy Jacob Hurtubise. So hopefully he's getting closer. Obviously, that's a very big deal. We've not seen him have a great, he kind of hit some hard, balls hard in Milwaukee and a couple in San Francisco, but since then he's kind of went cold again. So seeing those four rotate around and keep them all healthy, I think that's what good teams do. Good teams don't have 9 guys. Now, hopefully our 10, 11 guys continue to play well, and we can rely on all 4 of them and not being stuck in a Jeimer Candelario situation.
Yeah, for sure. I think,
or Jake Fraley situation.
Yeah, I think the key to this whole thing is just getting Steer healthy, because you love to have him in the lineup, be able to play left field, in this case with Hayes DHing and Lux in left. But Hayes's glove is either the first or second best glove in the outfield, I think, on this Reds team. He's got one of the better arms, or he has in the past couple of years in the MLB. So you'd love to have him every day in the outfield, and then plug in Steer every once in a while, DH. But Fraley, I'd like for Lux to kind of go, Hayes to kind of go into right, and then Fraley to plug in there to left, or Steer or whatever when he gets healthy. Because, like I said, Hayes just brings you so much defensively, and I think having just a stable right fielder you can plug in every day, hit against lefties and righties. Hayes his specialty is more against lefties, but I think he's a serviceable enough bat to bat against righties. So to just have an everyday guy you can throw out there is just huge for this Reds team.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where the Jake Fraley experiment goes. Does he take the role of Blake Dunn, aka I know he's not right-handed, but does he take the role of that 4th outfielder, or does he get dropped down to the 5th outfielder with Hayes back? Like you mentioned, Hayes primarily played left field with Baltimore, and he played left field for the Reds in spring training. But why was he playing left field in Baltimore? Anthony Santander was playing right field, and by no means, you can't convince me that he was a better defensive outfielder than Hayes, who came up as a center fielder. So I would like to see him play some right field, if only just to move Fraley out of not the opening day lineup, but the regular lineup, excuse me. And then Lux is playing left. So, it also comes down to, and something I've been thinking about, Francona is managing egos, managing players. We want Jake Fraley from 2023 back. Now, granted, that's if it's ifs and nuts or candies and nuts, every day would be Christmas, but we really need him back. How is Tito massaging that? Does he think he's that big of a deal to try to, bring him along? You also go back to the Dusty Baker thought of, eventually he's going to hit, because that's just it's going to happen, because he can't go 0 for whatever. Yeah. So that's what I'm really interested in seeing, of how the Jake Fraley, where he ends up in this little shuffle.
Yeah. And there's going to be injuries throughout the year. So having 5 outfielders at one time is going to be rare, but just Hayes, the key to Hayes is just staying healthy. He's had a lot of injury bugs throughout his career, so I'm just happy he's in the lineup for now, DHing or wherever he's playing. But his bat's going to be a very pleasant thing in the Reds lineup.
And last thing on Hayes, if he can turn into Ryan Ludwig from the 2012 season, that would just be fantastic, and we'll be going places.
Yeah, you'd love to see that. Pitching matchup tonight: Nick Lodolo versus old friend Luis Castillo. Castillo's been great in this ballpark. He's got, I believe, a 3.2 ERA career in Great American Ballpark. I believe that's third all time with pitchers of at least 100 innings pitched. I believe he's going to get a warm ovation from the home crowd, but hopefully we don't see that dominant Castillo against the Reds lineup tonight. Alex, what do you kind of expect from tonight's pitching matchup?
Well, Castillo, one of my favorite pitchers, him and Cueto, probably in my, quote unquote adult life, two of my favorite guys to watch. So I hope the Reds media team put together some cool video, of course, starting with his hair short all the way down to his long locks. Again, totally off topic, but I was just glad he didn't get traded to the Yankees prior to, well, now they still can't have long hair. They have to shave that, but I'm glad he got dealt to Seattle so he could keep his cool flow. But back to Castillo, also a guy who maybe would struggle a little bit in the cold. Tonight, a little chilly, not too cold, but he'll have his long sleeves on for sure, like he always has. But maybe the Reds can get to him early. He is great. I know they signed him to that long-term deal in Seattle, and there were so many rumors of them moving on, which I was surprised by. He's been overly solid. I think he's a good 2 with the upside of being a 1, but I think we're seeing what a 1 is. A 1 is Hunter Greene. I don't know if Luis Castillo ever got to that level. I think he was always a solid 2 plus. But I think we can get to him.
Yeah, he's that all-star pitcher. He's going to be reliable. That power changeup is always going to be there. But I do like how you mentioned kind of, I feel like the topic of conversation every year when he was a Red was just how much he struggled in the cold months. Yeah. He would always get off to the slowest starts. He's gotten off to a decent start this year. I don't have his stats pulled up, but I mean, this Mariners pitching staff is really solid, and he's part of that towards the front end. But yeah, those first couple starts were always really rough for him in the cold. But like I said, he's been great in Great American Ballpark his whole career. But hopefully not as good as he was, because
no, certainly we want that. We don't want him to go full revenge game on us. Hopefully the guys on the top of the lineup can get to him, because we know the back half is on the struggle bus
for sure. The other side of this matchup, the Reds, Nick Lodolo, he's had a great start to the year. Him and Hunter Greene, both top 5 in ERAs for starting pitchers. He's at a .96. His main thing has been limiting walks. I believe he only has 1 walk through 3 games this year in his 2-1 record. That's just huge for him. Getting ahead of counts. His stuff plays in the zone, so if he can just get ahead of counts and go from there, I think he's going to have another really successful night. What do you think about this, Alex?
Yeah, I think Lodolo's been great so far. We keep on with that. Again, another article from Charlie G this morning was just talking about Lodolo actually having time this offseason to get ready for spring training, ready for the beginning of the year, and maybe we're seeing it. Also, these guys are competitors. He sees Hunter Greene out there getting all the love and the publicity of having the great year so far. Lodolo is right on his heels. He doesn't have the flash and doesn't give, the fist bumps and the screams and the, arm straight up like Hunter does, which I love. But he's right behind him, and you see those guys in the dugout every game talking, learning from each other, and continue to go. So you have to know that's on his mind every night he goes out there, especially being right behind Greene, through the rotation.
Yeah, but if he can be that consistent guy, that's one heck of a 1-2 punch there at the front line of the Reds rotation. I don't think either of them, what they're doing right now, is sustainable, because that'd be remarkable. But if they can just be those steady 1 and 2 guys in the rotation while we wait for Burns and Louder and those guys to come up, that'd be more than enough. I'd love to see Lodolo continue the success, because he's shown flashes where that sweeper's back foot to righties and they're swinging at the ball when it's hitting them. He's got the stuff to be a really legit starting pitcher, and I hope he continues this.
And I think the last time that he was pitching, they mentioned that and said that so many teams were kind of laying off that.
Yeah.
But now that he's learning to pitch, been through the league a couple years, he's not relying on that solely to win games and to strike guys out, or even just pitch around. I think the second game of the year, he had one strikeout. I don't have his stats in front of me, but he was usually a guy who would pile them up.
Yeah.
You don't need to pile them up. Get the ground balls, get the soft fly balls, and let's catch them.
Yeah, and his changeup's been really good this year against righties, especially working away from them, because there's only so much you can do if you've got your fastball and then your slider working into righties.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like you said, that's predictable. Teams are laying off of that, but his changeup was really good against the Giants. I know that was a huge game, and he was great. His sinker, or that little four seam that's got some sink to it, has been great, sitting around 93, 94. You don't need anything more than that with how much movement he's got. But, yeah, control is the huge key for him, getting ahead of counts. And success will come because his stuff really does play. And what do you say we get into the lineup tonight? We've got, obviously, McLain and Hayes in there. But other than that, more of the same. You do have CES plugging back in after a 2-game rest. What's the main points you see in this lineup, and what do you think we see tonight?
Yeah, I think we've talked about the last few weeks we've been on, or the last week, I think, because this is our week 3 Tuesday night for us. Is it seems like Tito's going to stick with the lineup that he has. All of the back and forth on X.com, on other shows. This is just what we have. Now, I am interested about the Lux Hayes combo here, because coming out of spring training before the random calf injury for Hayes, he was going to be the 4-hole hitter.
Yeah.
Now that Lux is so comfortable in it, as Tito's been saying, now Hayes is the 5-hole hitter. So I think less of that between 4 or 5. I don't think that's a huge deal overall. Obviously, you have to protect Elly. But I'm sure, to me, Hayes and Lux are pretty interchangeable. Now, maybe we see Hayes and Lux change spots a few weeks down the road, so on and so forth. It's not like Hayes is, Albert Pujols by any means, where we can slide him in as a right-handed bat and bang, he's the top dog back in the day. But no, I think this is just what we're going to see out of Tito. And it's funny. It sounds like when some of the big guys on X.com start complaining the most, Santiago Espinal has a 2-hit game and, basically wins the game for the Reds.
Yeah, it's unpredictable. Baseball's a weird game. Weird stuff can happen, like Espinal being the hero last game. But, yeah, I think I kind of like Hayes at 4 instead of 5, but it's not that big of a deal because anything can happen. Love to see Lux get hot and kind of solidify himself in that 4 spot, but surrounding Elly with 2 righties, I think would be a great move. But just getting those guys back in the lineup just makes it so much more complete. And also, it's going to get even more complete with Stevenson coming back, hopefully soon.
Still no timetable on him, as we know, but yeah, absolutely. You throw Stevenson in there. If I make the lineup right now, Stevenson to me is the 6-hole hitter right behind Hayes, or maybe you do him behind Candy just to do that left-right split, with Candy being a switch hitter. Obviously, maybe it all matters, but you get Trevino out, you lower Fraley down in a spot. Of course, anytime you can add a good hitter like Stevenson, it's a plus.
Yeah.
And what about that bullpen, Sam? We have a big move there.
Yeah, we've got Diaz coming in, and he has been the closer these last couple of years, but Terry Francona has said that Emilio Pagan will be sticking in that role closing games, and Diaz will I assume he'll just kind of maybe 6th inning, 7th inning, maybe 8th, just kind of get closer to those high leverage positions. And if he looks great, he may get that closer role, but for now he's going to stick him there in the bullpen, just eating innings. Hopefully he looks good. Hopefully he commands the zone, not a lot of walks, but Pagan will be sticking as the closer for now, which I think is a good move ultimately.
Yeah, I don't see why, Pagan's going well until he falters. To me, I don't see a difference. Honestly, I would not really have a closer. I like the 4-headed monster of Ashcraft Diaz. Pagan, and Santian. To me also, and I don't know Diaz, obviously, but you saw this team last year, whether it was David Bell, whether it was Nick Krall, whoever, they took the opening day starter role from Hunter Greene. And that, you can't convince me that didn't motivate him. Now, unless Hunter Greene comes to me and tells me, no, it's that I didn't really care. But to me, that helped motivate him last year and took him to a next level.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're benching Diaz and saying, prove yourself again. I mean, how many times did Diaz walk at least one batter last year? I mean, it was horrible. And the stat, and I wish I had it in front of me, but it was right as spring training was ending, is Diaz going to make the club or not? Which, by the way, he didn't, and the IL was fake. His walk per 9 was double any reliever that Tito's used in his last 2 or 3 years, or closers, his 2 or 3 years. Double.
Yeah.
He's not going to deal with that, especially on these tight games. You thought Ian Jabot was bad blowing opening day. I mean, if Diaz would have put 2 guys on a walk. So I don't trust him really. I would have traded him 2 years ago in the middle of 2023 personally. But that's why I'm not being paid the big bucks. Yeah.
I think putting him in this situation where he's got to prove something is best for him and the team, because, you know, he's kind of had the closing role the last couple of years kind of given to him, or it's kind of been set in stone going into spring training. But now that we've got a little bit of a competition here, that's only going to be better for the team, better for him, because if he does well, that just lifts the bullpen up, and you're going to have multiple dudes who are going to be possible closers. So that's huge.
Absolutely. Hey, I saw this chat before we move on and almost wrap up here. I saw this chat from our co-host Mike about what a successful night for Hayes is tonight. I have my thoughts. How about you? What do you think?
I just think it's as easy as putting up good at bats, going deep into counts. I don't expect, any home runs or anything like that. That'd be great. I'm not going to put anything like that out there, but maybe getting on base a couple times, putting a couple swings on it, but really just getting deep into counts for now for his first game. I know Tito said they're going to ease him back in. So for a game 1, just good at bats. What about you?
Yeah, I was thinking in a similar vein. Deep into counts is big for me. The Reds lately, last 4 games, they've had 4 walks, 6 walks, 3 walks, 3 walks. Yeah. So over the whole lineup, I'd love to see that. Obviously Hayes, in particular, let's go deep into a count. But really what I've been watching, Sam, a lot lately is I love going on to MLB Savant on my phone, watching the game and just seeing how hard these balls are being hit.
Yeah.
And I believe offhand, the hard hit ball is like a 90 plus exit velocity. If every ball he hits, hopefully we're hoping no strikeouts, but if he's hitting balls 90 plus or 95 plus exit velocity, to me, I don't care where they land, over the fence or in a glove. If he's hitting them that hard, then to me, that's successful night.
Yeah. And I think that'll just make the case for him to be the cleanup hitter even stronger over Lux here. Just hitting balls hard, putting up good ABs. That'd be huge right there behind Elly. To wrap things up, what do you say we get into the series pitching matchups? Obviously tonight we've got Lodolo versus Luis Castillo. We haven't actually mentioned they have 2 Luis Castillos in their rotation.
Actually, I think the one I was doing a little research this morning, Sam.
Yeah.
And listening to some rival Mariner podcast, it does appear that the other Luis Castillo did get sent down.
Did he? Okay.
Yes.
I know they've had kind of 4 of their main rotation pieces. They may be going with that 5th day of bullpen start here now, whenever they need it. But we've got Castillo and Lodolo tonight. And then we've got Bryce Miller versus Nick Martinez. Miller's been a great pitcher over the past couple of years. Like I said, Mariners have just they have one of the best pitching rotations in the league, if not the best, over the past couple of years. And Miller's one of those guys. And then the last game of the series will be Brian Wu versus Brady Singer. Again, Wu, he was unbelievable last year. His ERA it may have been sub 3. I'm not even sure, but I just know he's one of those younger dudes who they have. It seems like they're the Brewers of the AL, but
yeah, they have a great pitching staff. Great pitching staff. They just can't hit. And that ballpark has made people's careers die with how big the ballpark is out in Seattle. Cano, Adrian Beltre, his career was on life support there for a minute. And so if they could just figure out the dimensions there or figure out something with their pitching staff, though, of course, it goes hand in hand. They might have something, but they do have a great pitching staff. And I know Wu is a guy I've seen a lot with some trade, people wanting to make some trades and such, but maybe we should have got him instead of Connor Phillips a few years back.
That would have been great. If you could see into the future, that would have been a no-brainer, but this is all. I will mention 3 righties this series, so that does favor the Reds. Anytime
that the Reds can face a right-hander, that is good news.
Yeah. But I know, Alex, to end the show, you have a little something you want to talk about here, so go ahead.
Absolutely. So every Tuesday, I'd like to have always a little fun history nugget or some sort of a trivia. So today, with it being Jackie Robinson Day across Major League Baseball, I was thinking maybe we could talk about the Reds' first player who broke the color barrier for the Reds. So that player was named Chuck Harmon. So Chuck Harmon, a lot of people may know of him. He stuck around Cincinnati for quite a few years after his short career. He played 3 years with the Reds and bounced around a little bit, but came back to Cincinnati and I believe worked in maybe some of the government down in Cincinnati. But he played 3 seasons for the Reds and only had 7 home runs. But there are a couple things around town for people to see about Chuck Harmon. There at the Reds Urban Youth Academy, there is a statue that recognizes him as being the player who broke the color barrier for the Reds, which was actually 7 years after Jackie Robinson debuted for the Brooklyn Dodgers. But another note here I have, so Jackie Robinson debuted in 1947. Chuck Harmon debuted for the Reds in 1954. But the real news was in 1956, the Reds added a 20-year-old Frank Robinson, who was the Reds' biggest star at the time. And, of course, the maligned trade to Baltimore because he was an old 30. So just some old history for the Reds. It's always interesting to tie it back to some national stories, especially with Jackie Robinson.
I look forward every week to hearing the history nugget coming from Alex Wallace here on the pregame show. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, real quick, not to change up the wrap up, but who do we have next week, Sam? Let's look that up. Maybe we can give a little teaser.
Yeah,
who the Reds play next week?
That's too far ahead for me. I haven't even checked.
Let's see. We have Miami. Oh, okay. No. That'll be an interesting history lesson. So we'll see. We'll see what I can dig up for the young Miami Marlins.
We'll see. Well, that'll do it for tonight's show. Everyone, do us a favor and like the stream. It helps us out a bunch. And then also tune into the post-game show tonight. It'll be Nick and Trace here tonight. Every night or after every game, they'll have one. So tune into that. And then also tomorrow's post-game show, make sure to tune into that. But that'll do it for us tonight. Alex, great show. And go Reds.
Go Reds.
Yep.